kind of progressive salad thing. And I just feel like that's part of the problem we have in this community is we're really good at process and we just never get anything done. And so having more accountability and having an organizational structure so that if you have a working group, I want to know who is hearing it. I want to have a timeline. Does there need to be a budget? When is somebody going to be responding to me? Because I have, like many people, have wasted years of my life sitting in various city meetings and then being promised by city staff, oh, that's going to be happening. That'll be happening this summer, next year by SoCon. And here I am, 21 years later with the same issue. So I think that it works both ways. I understand staff is really frustrated, but I think the community is really frustrated that we spend all this time and then just, I don't know where things go, but they never go forward.
I think that's the point of this working group. And everything you said are great recommendations for a template that gets turned into somebody that makes a commitment. And that's the work that we're going to do together in this working group is make those kind of recommendations. Nick, I think it was Vicky, then Patrick, or Patrick, then Vicky, whichever one it is. Whatever.
You can go ahead, Vicky.
I was just saying, go ahead, Patrick. But I'll just say a couple of quick things. First of all, it was not my understanding that this was just about working groups. It sounds like that a lot of people were confused about that. So there's some problems with how the city is communicating about this. Second of all, I don't think that there was a vote by council to move forward with the boards and commissions restructuring yet. And as far as boards and commissions restructuring, I like what Ted had said about kind of looking at each one separately. I hear what Amy was saying, but I also, as a community organization that has interacted with the transit committee, for example, I have, some things from an outside perspective, from someone who has attended those meetings, that I think could be useful and how that could be more effective. And then finally, I think that, the pandemic caused a lot of problems for a lot of the boards and commissions. And the transit committee, for example, is one that we follow really closely, and they didn't meet for a long time. They lost members during that time. So I don't know that, like, with the existing people on the transit committee, that this is the right time to be like, these are the only people that should decide how the transit committee should move forward, because that committee is not at its strongest. It took a hit from the pandemic, just like a lot of other committees did during that time period. So I just wanted to name that about committees, and I'm done.
Patrick.
Yes. I just wanted to kind of emphasize as well that City Council has not publicly discussed or approved a plan to restructure boards and commissions, even though this process has been developed over many months, which is part of why I'm so concerned about where we are right now. And what I would suggest for this working group is that we focus, rather than on trying to define all the details of a new system, that we focus on making recommendations to produce a process that allows for more feedback and allows us to get better ideas. So, that should involve talking to boards and allowing them to weigh in, and also, really importantly, slowing down this process. It's really concerning to me that it seems like we're going to do this working group for 6 months, and then the city's going to do a pilot program simultaneously. I mean, we really need to take a step back and figure out what works, what doesn't, and what needs to be improved with our boards, and just commit. Let's take the time to get it right. And we don't need to have predetermined outcomes about 4 boards or 5 boards. Let's listen to people that have been doing this work and figure out how to better support them. So that's my recommendation.
So I'm going to give Nina the last public comment, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, what my homework is, and then I'm going to give you some homework, and I'm going to let you go. Nina, we close us out in the public comment.
I would like to say amen to what Vicki and Patrick have just said. I think the concern here is about the process. I think the perception has been that some undetermined number of people went off into a conference room and matched up a new structure design with a document that's very general and then decided that it was ready to go to a pilot process. Whereas the people who've actually been participating in all these things for years were not surveyed or consulted. And we were also in the middle of a pandemic, which provides a lousy baseline for designing anything. So I am going to concur that we need to put a big fat pause on any direct recommendations to council until we have the time to take this down to the grassroots. And that means talking to the people who have been involved in this process and working up from them, not from some kind of abstract top-down arrangement. I think this needs to go on to pause, and I think we need to think very carefully about what would constitute an effective process for getting where we are today to an even better, more communicative, more interactive, more staff-supported system of boards and commissions.
All right. This has been very enlightening for me as I am new to this process and new to this conversation. I've never served on a work group, a board, or a commission. And I appreciate all of the work that you do. What I took from this meeting is really 3 key components that I feel like this is what I'm going to say to Sarah, like y'all said, behind closed doors. So I'm going to say it in front of everybody for full transparency. I do feel like you all need some type of one-pager and rationale justification for why we're making this change, what we want the goals of this change to be, and then really get clear on, because I'm hearing 2 things, these 4 to 5 commissions versus, and this is about work groups. So I need to know the impact of work groups on those boards and commissions. So I need to have that information to even pull more information out of you before we can even move forward. I understand that people have a problem with the process. I can go back and talk to them about the process and see how that goes for us as a community. But the main thing that I want people to remember is that it is important to hear from people who are on the boards and commissions, but it is also important to hear from everybody. So I do think we need to ask that the city gives that input, do those listening sessions, but that they also listen to people who have never served on a board or commission, because everybody is serving everybody here. And so we need all voices. And so I think it's important that I take that back with me. Today, we didn't get as much done as I would have liked, or we didn't even do the process that the city wanted, but I'm glad that I understand where everybody's coming from, which is important. And that we have plenty of notes about where everybody's coming from. I'm asking for people to commit to the process who wants to give input, who are ready to do what the city is asking. And sometimes that might not always be comfortable. Sometimes it might not always feel the best, but we're in community together, in relationship together. And so we really are going to have to figure out, although we don't like the plan or the process, how we move forward in getting our voice heard. And really, if the process is the process, which I don't know, I heard it wasn't voted in, so I'm going to go back and ask. But we got to figure out who wants to come and be a part of giving those deep recommendations, and who's going to help us figure out how to be more accountable, how the work groups be more accountable. So I hope that if you are interested in work groups, that you will join us next time. I am going to change the name of this to the work group function. I'm going to make sure that it's clear. Instead of just called restructuring work groups, I'm going to do something else so people are really clear on the wording, and I'll see you next time. If there's anything you have specifically for me, you can leave it in the chat or give me a call, email, Facebook. I'm everywhere.
One closing, I just want to clarify one note, and also thank you. This was a great conversation. We do hear you. We will take a step back. But I do want to clarify that no, council has not voted on any of this. The next week's May 10th meeting is, they will be looking at council committees. We are not asking them to make any decisions, but seeing if we're heading in the right direction with aligning with council vision and the comp plan. So again, that's just council committees. And then also giving an update on the boards and commissions. No, we're not asking them to make any decisions, but we will be talking about some of the goals of the overall, what an end product could look like, what we're trying to do here, and then also some of the feedback that we've heard today. So no decisions are on the agenda for council, but we do want to give them an update. So thank you all.
Thanks for being in community with us, and we'll see you around. Cecil.
I think Sharon said she called him. I said he works nights. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried calling him as well. He didn't respond.
He hung in there with us. So Sarah, do you want to hop on a separate call? Do you want to debrief here?
Yeah, let's jump on a call. I
Okay.
will. Do you like virtual or do you want me to call you?
Because my phone is so weird, I should probably call you. What's your number?
Okay. Area code.
Mhm. I'm ready. Oh yeah, you might.
Jerry, did you on the YouTube?
Yeah, you can text it to me.